imposing structures that strike the observer with their majestic presence. In the collective imagination, dams represent the places where they are located. Their structures are dictated by the geography of their surroundings. The rock formations surrounding them, the valleys where they stand, and the shape of the rivers they block. And the records to beat are many. That's why in this video, we have gone deep and beyond to bring you the top 10 biggest mega dams on Earth. Spread across Russia, Canada, the United States, and some in the Middle East, these monstrous water structures are simply on another level. You will particularly be appalled with the top one, so watch till the end to find out. 10. Hoa Binh Dam, Vietnam. Hoa Binh Dam is located in Hoa Binh City on the Hoa Binh province in the north of Vietnam. Constructed in 1994 after 25 years of construction, the Hoa Binh Dam and power plant is a brilliant feat of engineering. The project was guided and financed by the Soviet Union, which during the Cold War provided great assistance to Vietnam's communist state. It is one of modern Vietnam's greatest achievements and, of course, the main attraction of Hoa Binh City. As far back as the 1930s, French colonialists in Indochina desired to create a hydropower plant dam on the Da River. Over several decades, the French explored lengths of the river, conducted geological surveys, and drilled into the riverbed in pursuit of the project. They were unable to locate a suitable location, and with the limited technology of those times, the French found the construction of a dam damn near impossible. Their main problem was that gravel and sediment layers were just too thick at the river's bed. They did not give up on the idea, with engineers still working until the fall of Indochina, which of course ended all such plans. An interesting side note is that of the French scientist Xiluodu Dam. He undertook geological studies of Indochina and found the first dinosaur fossils in what is today Laos. In 1941, Dam became a professor at Hanoi University during intense times of war when Japanese forces were becoming involved in Indochina. He is said to have surveyed parts of the Da River for the Department of Water Resources of Indochina, but sadly died at a young age in 1945. While working with a drilling team in Hoa Binh, he was taken captive by Japanese forces and later executed. Another version states that he died while fighting for the anti-Japanese resistance closer to Hanoi. During the 1960s, Vietnamese and Chinese geologists continued to study the Da River in the hope of building a dam, but they were also incapable of finding a way to conquer it. However, after the Soviets managed to complete the Hai Aswan Dam on the Nile River in Egypt, Vietnam invited Soviet Union specialists to examine the situation. The completed Egyptian dam was able to overcome 200 meters of riverbed gravel, much more than the 30 to 70 meters of gravel, alluvium, and sand layers of the Da River. In 1971, they began to draw a geological map of the riverbed, and in 1979, the construction of the Hoa Binh Dam began. It was required to build 2 stops to restrict the river, with the first completed in 1983 and the second finished in 1986. The main body of the power plant was built underground on the mountainside. To create the cavern for the plant, 1.2 million cubic meters of rock were dug out to create a space that was 52 meters high, 22 meters wide, and 280 meters long. Inside this room, 8 generators, power transformers, and auxiliary works were fitted, each able to produce 240 megawatts. 168 people perished in the construction of the dam, including 11 Russian nationals. There is a monument there to remember the fallen with all their names inscribed on a stele, and 168 bowls to burn incense to them. And the size? It's big, very big. Hoa Binh Dam wall measures 128 meters in height and is 20 meters wide at the top. It has a length of 820 meters at its base and 620 meters at its crest. Its spillways can discharge a whopping maximum of 35,400 cubic meters of water per second, and the reservoir is said to have a capacity of a massive 9.8 billion cubic meters, or 208 square kilometers. Since its inception, the power plant has produced about 230 billion kilowatt hours and averages 8.6 billion kilowatt hours annually. 9. W.A.C. Bennett Dam, Canada. The W.A.C. Bennett Dam is a large hydroelectric dam on the Peace River in northern British Columbia, Canada. At 186 meters, approximately 610 feet high, it is one of the world's highest earth-filled dams. Construction of the dam began in 1961 and culminated in 1968. At the dam, the Finlay, the Parsnip, and the Peace Rivers feed into Williston Lake, also referred to as Williston Reservoir. It is the third largest artificial lake in North America, after the Smallwood Reservoir and Manicouagan Reservoir, as well as the largest body of freshwater in British Columbia. Williston Lake runs 250 kilometers north to south and 150 kilometers east to west. The construction of the dam cost $750 million, making it the largest project of its kind in the province of British Columbia. The dam was named after Premier W.A.C. Bennett because his vision played a major role in the project initiation, development, and realization. The reservoir was named after the Premier's trusted cabinet colleague, Ray Williston. The Gordon M. Shrum Generation Station at the dam has the capacity to generate more than 13,000 gigawatts annually, supplying over a third of British Columbia's power demand. At the time of its construction, the powerhouse was the largest of its kind worldwide. It continues to be the largest power station in British Columbia, and it is the third largest hydroelectric development in Canada, after Robert Bourassa and Churchill Falls. In addition to the benefits related to the clean energy generated, the construction of the dam and the reservoir also provided economic opportunities for the province of British Columbia, for the newly founded provincially owned electric utility BC Hydro, and for a large number of workers. These workers were involved in the planning, construction, operation, and maintenance of the project. Considerable costs were involved in the government-funded project. Clearing the area for the reservoir called the Trench alone cost $5 million. The building of the dam and the reservoir were not without controversy. One controversy was caused by the significant negative environmental effects the project had on the immediate environment. In the process of creating Williston Lake, 350,000 acres of former forest land was flooded. This caused the loss of plant and wildlife biodiversity, as well as risking mineral and timber rights. A second controversy related to the fact that the land had been inhabited prior to its flooding. Therefore, the flooding resulted in the displacement of the 40 or 50 residents located in the trench. Among them were members of the Seike Dene First Nation, then known as Ingenica. The displacement had negative social impacts on the inhabitants, as the loss of the land that had previously supported them meant the loss of autonomy and resulted in isolation, alienation, and social disorganization. A British Columbia hydro consultant admitted in 1977 that the isolation imposed by the reservoir had severe impacts on Ingenica society and culture. 8. Bratsk Dam, Russia. Built across the Angara River at Padin Gorge in Irkutsk Oblast, southeastern Siberia, the Bratsk High Dam took its name, which in Russian means brotherly, from the 17th century village that was buried at the bottom of one of the largest artificial bodies of water in the world, the Bratsk Sea. Construction on the 3-mile-long dam began in 1955, succeeding despite the brutal cold and supply difficulties caused by the remote location. The reservoir sea began to fill on September 1, 1961, eventually raising the river level at the dam site by 479 feet. The first hydroelectric turbine went into operation in November 1961, and by 1969, there were 18 turbines with a total capacity of 4.5 million kilowatts, greater than any in the world up to that time. Attracted by high wages and the spirit of camaraderie and adventure characteristic of major construction projects of earlier decades, young people flocked to the dam site from throughout the Soviet Union. Many of them were recruited by the Komsomol. The resident population of Bratsk City, which increased from 43,000 in 1959 to 155,000 by 1970, was remarkably young, averaging 27 years of age in the latter year. The dam itself employed approximately 800 people, but many times that number worked in factories powered by the dam, including a wood processing combine capable of turning 5 million cubic yards of wood into various products, and an enormous aluminum plant, the Soviet Union's largest. Symbolizing the conquest of nature, the Bratsk Dam powered industry that significantly degraded the environment and itself contributed to the depletion of species of fish in the Angara and nearby Lake Baikal. The dam is 410 feet high and 14,488 feet wide at the crest, and has a volume of 14,337,000 cubic yards. It creates an unusually large reservoir of 137,227,000 acre-feet and has an electric power capacity of 4,500 megawatts. Concrete buttresses support a two-lane highway that runs across the downstream face of the dam's crest. 7. Tarbela Dam, Pakistan. Tarbela Dam is located in Pakistan on the Indus River, 50 kilometers northwest of Islamabad, and is the world's largest fill-type dam. It is built near the small town of Tarbela in the Haripur district of the country. It is also the second largest dam in the world in terms of reservoir capacity, which is 11.62 million acre-feet, or approximately 14.3 billion cubic meters. Construction on the primary elements of the project started in 1968, and initial operations of the dam began in 1978. The project was fully completed in 1984 at a cost of $1.49 billion. The project was executed by the Water and Power Development Authority on behalf of the government of Pakistan. Construction was carried out under a single civil works contract. Major financial contributions for the project came from the World Bank in the form of a bank loan and 2 International Development Association credits. The bank loan was approved in 1968, and the 2 IDA credits were approved in 1978. The loan and credits were fully paid out by September 1981. Pakistan is currently constructing the Diamir Basha Dam on the River Indus, which will increase the life of the Tarbela Dam by 35 years. The new dam project is partly financed by the U.S. The Tarbela Dam project involved the construction of an earth and rock-filled dam on the River Indus and a power plant. The maximum height of the main embankment from the lowest foundation point is 470 feet, and the length is 9,000 feet at its crest. The dam required 138 million cubic yards of fill. The main embankment is flanked by 2 auxiliary embankments on the left bank. The maximum height of one of the auxiliary embankments is 345 feet, while that of the other is 220 feet. The lengths at the crest are 2,340 feet and 960 feet, respectively. 6. Hoover Dam, United States. Hoover Dam is a concrete arch gravity dam located in the Black Canyon of the Colorado River, on the border between the states of Nevada and Arizona. Close to 100 years after its completion, Hoover Dam is still considered an engineering marvel. It is named in honor of President Herbert Hoover, who played a crucial role in its creation. For many years, residents of the American Southwest sought to tame the Colorado to prevent flooding and provide irrigation to transform the arid region into fertile cropland. The greatest obstacle to constructing a dam was the issue of water rights allocation among the 7 states of the Colorado River drainage basin. It became evident after meetings held at San Diego, Tucson, Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, and Denver that a formal agreement for the equitable apportionment of the water between the states was needed. Herbert Hoover had visited the lower Colorado region in the years before World War I and was familiar with its problems and the potential for development. Upon becoming Secretary of Commerce in 1921, Hoover proposed the construction of a dam on the Colorado River. In addition to flood control and irrigation, it would provide a dependable water supply for Los Angeles and Southern California. It would recover its cost by selling the hydroelectric power it generated. In 1921, the state legislatures of the Colorado River Basin authorized commissioners to negotiate an interstate agreement. Congress authorized President Harding to appoint a representative for the federal government to serve as a chair on the Colorado River Commission. And on December 17, 1921, Harding appointed Hoover to that role. When the commission assembled in Santa Fe in November 1922, the 7 states still disagreed over the fair distribution of water. The upstream states feared that the downstream states would be allocated the vast majority of the water due to their rapidly developing agricultural and power needs. Hoover suggested a compromise that the water be divided without individual state quotas. The resulting Colorado River Compact was signed on November 24, 1922. It split the river basin into upper and lower halves, with the states within each region deciding amongst themselves how the water would be allocated. Appropriations were approved and construction began in 1930. The dam was dedicated in 1935, and the hydroelectric generators went online in 1937. In 1947, Congress officially restored Hoover's name to the dam after FDR's Secretary of the Interior tried to remove it. Hoover Dam was built for a cost of $49 million, approximately $760 million today, adjusted for inflation. The power plant and generators cost an additional $71 million. The sale of electrical power generated by the dam paid back its construction cost with interest by 1987. Today, the Hoover Dam controls the flooding of the Colorado River, irrigates over 1.5 million acres of land, and provides water to over 16 million people. Lake Mead supports recreational activities and provides habitats for fish and wildlife. The power generated by the dam provides energy to power over 500,000 homes. The Hoover Compromise still governs how the water is shared. Physically, Hoover Dam is a massive concrete arch-gravity dam, 660 feet thick at its base and wide enough at its crest that traffic on old US 93 coursed right over its top. Some 726 feet in the canyon below, or the equivalent of a 60-story building, the Colorado River lies tamed beneath this great concrete wedge, its base as broad as 2 long football fields. 5. Tucurui Dam, Brazil. Tucurui Dam is located on the main channel of the Tocantins River in the Brazilian state of Para, approximately 7.5 kilometers upstream from the town of Tucurui and 300 kilometers south of the state capital, Belém. The oldest hydropower facility was built between 1976 and 1984, and its capacity was doubled in 2007. Current plans call for capacity to be expanded by another 2.5 gigawatts over the next few years. Tucurui is owned by Eletronorte, a subsidiary of Eletrobras, which supplies most of the electrical energy consumed in the Brazilian Amazon. It was built before the environmental laws that required the completion of an environmental impact study, which allowed its proponents to discount the impacts of a reservoir covering 280,000 hectares and the relocation of an estimated 30,000 citizens, including several indigenous communities. The massive reservoir flooded intact tropical forest, and the subsequent methane emissions from rotting vegetation have been estimated at 2.5 million metric tons of carbon annually, a GHG footprint approximately equivalent to that of a gas-fired power plant. The dam has radically altered the ecology of the river and caused massive disruptions to fish populations. Species richness has fallen by 25% below the dam and by 50% within the reservoir, changes that reflect the composition of fish communities and the decline of migratory species. Total fish catch in the reservoir increased in the years immediately following its impoundment, but have declined over time, having stabilized at about 80% of the original value. The Tocantins is the most heavily exploited watershed in the Brazilian Amazon. The Serra da Mesa, a D&R unit, was built in the headwaters near Brasilia simultaneously with Tucurui. These investments were followed by 4 large-scale D&R projects inaugurated between 2000 and 2010. There are 4 additional sites on the central sector of the river that are candidates for large-scale dams. Maraba, just below the confluence of the Araguaia and Tocantins, followed by Serra Quebrada, Tuparatins, and Ipueiras. The construction of these 4 dams is required for the development of the Tocantins waterway. None overlap with an indigenous territory or conservation unit. The National Energy Agency has identified 24 additional sites as candidates for medium-scale facilities, all of which are located relatively high in the watershed. If all these proposed dams were completed, the total installed capacity of the Tocantins would increase from about 13.2 gigawatts to 20 gigawatts. 4. Guri Dam, Venezuela. The Guri Hydroelectric Power Plant, also known as Simón Bolívar Hydroelectric Power Station and Raúl Leoni Hydroelectric Central, is situated 100 kilometers upstream of the Caroni River in the Quima Canyon of Orinoco, Venezuela. The power plant has an installed capacity of 10,200 megawatts and is one of the biggest power plants in the world. The plant provides the country approximately 50,000 gigawatts per hour of energy annually. The Guri Dam measures 532 feet in height and 4,314 feet in length. The plant contains 3 high-voltage switchyards running at 800 kilovolts, 400 kilovolts, and 230 kilovolts. The switchyards are arranged in a breaker-and-half configuration. Venezuelan power company CVG Electrificación del Caroni CA operates and maintains the power plant. The construction of the power plant was carried out after the government adopted a policy in the 1960s to reduce the amount of energy produced from fossil fuels. Towards the end of 1963, the initial construction work, earthworks, and routes of the access roads commenced. In 1964, the Caroni River was diverted to the right side of the bank to enable the construction of the plant. The civil works of the first stage of the power plant were completed in 1976, consisting of Powerhouse 1 with 10 generators and a capacity of 2,065 megawatts. Approximately 73% of the country's energy requirements are met by the Guri power plant. In January 2010, it became evident that Venezuela had become over-dependent on the power plant to fulfill its energy requirements. Water levels in the dam fell drastically in 2010, leading to a severe power crisis in the country. Water levels fell again in 2016, causing a major electrical blackout in the country. Again in 2019, Venezuela witnessed an electrical blackout due to the failure of the San Geronimo B substation, which is connected to the Guri Dam. 3. Xiluodu Dam, China. The Xiluodu Double Curvature Arch Dam was built by China 3 Gorges Corporation in the lower Jinsha River, which is a major tributary of the Yangtze River. The dam is located on the upper reaches of the Yangtze River between Yunnan Province and Sichuan Province. It is the second largest dam in China, next only to the 3 Gorges Dam in terms of size, construction cost, and generating capacity. Construction of the $6.2 billion dam project began in December 2005, with the concreting commencing in 2008. Construction of the dam was completed in 2013. With a reservoir capacity of 12.67 billion cubic meters and flood control capacity of 4.65 billion cubic meters, the Xiluodu Dam is capable of preventing floods up to 4.6 billion cubic meters in the middle and lower parts of the Yangtze. As well as alleviating the control of flooding on the Yangtze River, the Xiluodu Dam project also generates power. In addition, it helps with flood prevention, sediment control, and navigation improvement. The dam was built as part of the China West Development Strategy, which aims to boost the economy of 6 provinces, 5 autonomous regions, and 1 municipality in western China. The overall elevation of the dam crest is 600 meters, with the concrete double curvature arch being 285.5 meters high and 700 meters long. Up to 16.72 meters cubed of concrete was used to construct the dam, which comprises 7 surface spillways and 8 outlets. There are 4 overflow tunnels, 2 each on the left and right banks. The reservoir capacity is about 12.67 billion cubic meters, with 4.65 billion cubic meters utilized for flood control. 2. Itaipu Dam, Paraguay and Brazil. Itaipu Hydroelectric Dam is the world's second-largest operational hydroelectric power plant in terms of installed power and is located on the border between Brazil and Paraguay. With an installed generation capacity of 14 gigawatts, the plant is operated by Itaipu Financial, and the energy generated by the dam helps to meet the demands of the two countries. Approximately 90% of the energy generated by the plant is used by Brazil. The Itaipu Dam and hydroelectric plant are on the Paraná River. Construction of the dam began in February 1971 and cost $19.6 billion. The first unit began generating power in May 1984, and the second generating unit started operating the same year. Itaipu has 20 generating units, each with a capacity of 700 megawatts. The dam's reservoir, which covers an area of 1,350 square kilometers, is the seventh largest reservoir in Brazil, with the best water utilization coefficient of 10.4 megawatts per kilometer squared. Itaipu generated 79.44 million megawatts per hour of energy in 2019, while the plant achieved a milestone in 2016 by setting a new world record for annual power generation with a production of 103.1 million megawatts per hour. It is equal to the energy consumed by Paraguay for 11 years and Argentina for 1 year. The power generated in 2008 was used to supply 87% of the electricity consumed in Paraguay and 19% demanded by the Brazilian interconnected system. 1. Three Gorges Dam, China. The Three Gorges Dam project is one of the world's biggest hydropower complex projects. It is located in the Xiluodu Gorge, one of the three gorges of the Yangtze River in Hubei Province, China. The gorge controls approximately 1 million square kilometers of drainage area and averages a runoff of 451 billion cubic meters annually. China Three Gorges Corporation acts as the legal entity for the project and is responsible for its construction, operation, and financing. Construction on the Three Gorges Dam was completed in 2008. The dam stands 185 meters tall and 2,309 meters wide, making it one of the world's largest hydro plants, well ahead of Brazil's 12,600 megawatt Itaipu installation. A total of 32 main power generators operate off the dam, including 12 sets on the right bank and 14 sets on the left, installed in 2006 and 2008 respectively. The generators became operational in October 2008 and generated a total of 18,300 megawatts. Another 6 generators were added to the underground power plant of the project. The first 3 became operational in June 2011. The third generator unit completed a 72-hour test run in July 2011. The Three Gorges Dam project involves harnessing the Yangtze River, Asia's longest stretch of water, to generate prodigious amounts of electricity. Its output is estimated at 85 terawatt per hour a year, which is close to 1/10 of current Chinese requirements. Disastrous floods have claimed hundreds of thousands of lives this century alone. The dam directs the floods downstream. Improved navigability on the river allows larger ships to sail from Shanghai to as far as Chongqing upstream from the dam and 2,000 kilometers from the sea to aid China's burgeoning domestic and export trade. The dam is located 44 kilometers from the city of Yichang in Hubei Province. This point is at the end of a series of steep canyons that form a 630-kilometer reservoir with an average width of 1.3 kilometers. Its capacity is 39.3 billion cubic meters. The project consists of a concrete gravity dam with a spillway in the middle. The powerhouse and non-overflow sections are stationed at both ends of the dam. The dam's length is 2,309.5 meters, and the storage level is 175 meters. The plant took 17 years to construct and was built in stages by state-backed sponsor China Yangtze Three Gorges Dam Project Development Corporation. Initial works began in 1993. Up to the end of 1996, approximately $2.3 billion was invested. The plant's construction involved excavating 102.83 million cubic meters of rock and earth, refilling 31.98 million cubic meters, placing 27.94 million cubic meters of concrete, and installing a 256,500-ton metal frame. And that's it from us today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to click on the subscribe icon below. Also, give us a like, share the video, and remember to turn on the notification bell for timely updates of our latest uploads. Until next time, thank you for watching.